So, tonight I think is the 7th night of the 10-week series that we're doing together. And in a way, all the practices we've been doing have been for the practice that we're going to do tonight. All put together, they are the foundation for what we're doing tonight. And then what we do tonight will be the foundation for the last 3 weeks of this series. So I'm just trying to summarize where we've been and where we're going. I know I do it a little bit every time, but so we've explored the natural spacious quality of our being. Can you guys hear me okay back there? Okay. So the natural spaciousness inside that we experience when we let go of what we think, when we let go of our conceptual understanding of our body. And we've also explored the energetic quality, especially last week with the 12-fold breath. That was meant to sort of enhance your ability to touch into that energetic, almost ethereal quality in the body, in the boundaries of the body, and even a little bit outside the body. We've also gone down into the space of the earth. When we've let go of thinking of it as a big solid rock, what happens when we actually explore expanding behind our body down into the ground? What are the qualities that we find there? What happens to us when we do that practice? What happens to our understanding of consciousness, of mind, of what it is to be? Doing these practices, in a way, opens things up for us. It opens up our understanding. It stretches our beliefs about reality. I know that it's difficult to practice every day for many people, and luckily you have the rest of your life to go through these practices in a thorough manner and delve into them more deeply over time. So tonight might be a little bit challenging with what we're going to do if you haven't had a chance to practice a lot over the last 7 weeks. But that's okay. These evenings are just for learning the method, not for mastering them. Right? So we can relax tonight as we do what we're going to do. And I'll just describe what we're going to do. In a way, we're going to combine everything we've done, and we're going to start by doing a brief 3-fold breath practice laying down to reconnect with that spaciousness in our body and our sense of presence in the body and just get embodied. Then we're going to descend into the earth in a particular way. We're going to do it in a fast manner. So last time we did that, we did it very slowly, right? Descending at your own speed, which is a great way to learn this practice. But tonight we're going to do it in an abrupt fashion. And I'm going to throw a couple of images your way right now to help you understand a little bit of what we might be going for experientially when we do this practice tonight, going into the earth quickly. I remember seeing an old movie of, I forget his name, one of the guys who tried to break a record flying nonstop around the world, or someone like that. And there was a scene in this old movie where he was at such a high altitude that a lot of ice had accumulated on his wings. And so what he did was come down below the clouds and very close to the water so that the warmth of the air and the sunlight could start to break apart the ice and melt the ice, and then the wings would shed themselves of this hard covering, and it would just, the ice would break apart, and then he was free to fly again. So that's one image. Don't overthink it, just take it in lightly. Another one is if you imagine when an astronaut is returning from space in that old school 1960s capsule, and you see the bottom of it turning red and glowing, and we're all worried that the little tiles on the outside are going to start breaking up because the heat and the speed and the impact is too much. And when it goes badly, it does absolutely break up and burn up. That's a little dramatic using an astronaut. We could just talk about spent rockets there. Nobody gets hurt. A spent rocket comes down and or pieces of satellites, and then they do burn up. They just disintegrate with the heat and the speed. So let's see if there's another one. You know, there are certain seeds in the forest that over time they get buried in the earth just a few inches below. And they're preserved there until a natural forest fire occurs. And it's the heat from the fire that causes the little seedling to crack and open. And after the fire passes and it cools off, then it starts sprouting and giving life. The life comes out, but it needed that heat and that extremity to kind of crack its shell. I'm just giving you these flavors because what we're going to do tonight is in a way crack our boundary, the limit of our awareness. See, everywhere we go, even with the practices we've done so far, or with a lot of sitting meditation that we do, there's this very strong sense of me, I'm here, I'm present. Even if we're doing some of these other body-based practices, it's very much all in this very safe space. I'm exploring my awareness, and I'm perceiving the world out there. In a sense, we're actually quite blind to reality that way. We're really seeing everything just from this very small perspective of me, right? How do we get beyond that? How do we step over ourselves in a way? How do we let go of self to such a degree that we can be open and available to other, and essentially to the world, the sacredness of the world, the awareness of the world? What happens when we let go of ourselves completely? What happens after that? So tonight what we're going to do is, after we've established our sense of embodiment laying down, we're going to do a very fast countdown and then let go quickly down into the earth, using your imagination, but this will be a sense of falling very quickly and your speed increasing and increasing. And we're going to drive ourselves with a little bit of exertion mentally in our imagination. Normally our meditation is very relaxing, very calming. But this time, tonight, it's okay to feel a little bit quivery as you go down. So you'll start to feel a little bit shaky in your consciousness, in your awareness. You'll be driving yourself faster and faster through the space of the earth. And when that sense of you starts to become quaky or quivery or shaky, that's good. That's the seed developing the cracks. That's the metal fragments coming through the atmosphere and starting to crack up and break up. In a sense, we're letting go of ourselves. We're being forced to let go because of the speed of our descent through this other space. In a way, if we can let go quickly enough and without overthinking it, we really have to let go of the thinking here, just going. It's, our thoughts can't even do it quickly enough. We really start to have a sense of letting go. It's abrupt. It might be a little bit uncomfortable. You're not quite sure where you are. You're starting to lose your sense of what's happening. Where am I in space? Where am I in the space below in the earth? Where are my boundaries? When we start to lose that sense, then there's an opportunity there. We relax into that. But we need to first use a little bit of effort to go down quickly and start to feel, And when we get to a certain point, you might start to feel energy that is not your own. See, when we did the 12-fold breath last week, we could feel this energy in our body, and we weren't paying attention to what was beyond. But now when we descend very quickly, letting go of ourselves, letting go of our boundaries, letting go of our sense of knowing exactly where we stand, there's a possibility of feeling this energy coming in from around, from beyond you, from the other side, from the awareness and the consciousness in the earth itself, which really means the awareness of the big world beyond our safety bubble, right? So you might start to feel the sense of, it could be warmth. It could be a sense of coolness or tingling. It could be a sensation like fresh air. It might be nothing. So I'm using these words a bit. Please don't let them set expectations of how something should feel when you do this tonight or anytime you do this practice. But I want to plant the seed that there will be something that you feel to indicate that your own coverings have started to fall open and fall apart. And even though your sense of awareness might be down below, you are, of course, still present of your body here, laying in this room. And your body might start to feel the sense of energy, or the sense of deep relaxation, but a sense of aliveness too. At a certain point, we'll all start coming back up from the depths, however low we've gone, however far away we've traveled. And then we'll come back into our body, and we'll allow that energy of the earth beneath us to sort of follow us back into the body. And we'll start to take it into ourselves. You see what's happening here? It's almost like drilling for oil. In this sense, we're tapping into the energy and the awareness. And indeed, sometimes you might experience actual love of the earth coming in from beneath and filling our very being. It sounds like poetic language, but this is quite literal. It's our thinking mind that creates a sense of separateness between us and the ground, or between us and other, between us and each other. But this letting go process that we have in these practices shows us that we are actually always connected. And when we acknowledge that and experience it, it's palpable. We feel it in our bodies. So I guess that's all I'll say now as a description of what we're doing tonight. In the next few weeks, we'll learn how to work with that energy as it comes into our body, and how actually we can become vessels for the life force of the universe. In a sense, we can fulfill the meaning of our life by learning how to connect with this greater part of ourselves. Because in the end, we discover that awareness we discovered down there, that's not really other either. It's us too. We've just forgotten. In a way, all these practices that we're doing are just ways to remember who we truly are. And we're doing it bit by bit. So I find that the practice we're doing tonight usually works really well when the lights are pretty dim. So if you like, we could hit those switches back there. I'll hit the ones up here. If you're watching from home right now, you shouldn't be watching the screen anyway, so don't pay attention. Just listen. So take a few moments to lay down, and we'll continue when everyone's ready. So we're going to start by going through all the usual steps that we do every week when we lay down. I'll just describe them quickly, and then you can do them at your own pace. And that is to release the muscles in the jaw and the pelvic floor. Noticing other areas that might be tight, like the lower back, or your thighs, your groin, your hands and your eyes, your face. Giving yourself a few moments to relax and soften into the ground, noticing that your mind and the speed of thoughts slow down the more we just give ourselves over to gravity. And then we'll do a brief threefold breath practice where we touch into the space in the lower belly, the heart, and the throat. And if you want to, you can even do the hands, where you bring your hands to rest just below the navel. On the inhale, our stomach is expanding. We feel any tension or hardness there on the inhale. On the exhale, we can soften that inside and on the edges. And then breath by breath, you can allow your mind to come more into the center of the core of the lower belly, into that sense of openness that's just a couple of inches above the spine, at the level of the hands, so about 4 inches below the navel. Let your awareness descend down towards the spine, breathing into that sense of openness, and on the exhale, just letting the mind abide there, becoming accustomed to this space beyond thought. You may feel experience here, but moment by moment you see there's nothing to say about it, there's nothing to label. And then we're going to come up to the heart center. So if you want to, you can bring your fingertips to rest on the breastbone. And don't worry if it seems like you can't come to complete relaxation during this first stage, because the whole night will be ever softening deeper. So we're breathing so that our rib cage expands on the inhale, noticing any tension. On the exhale, letting it all soften, letting it all release. And then breath by breath, letting your awareness move into the heart space itself. Breathing into it, noticing the emotional and energetic quality. Letting it be as it is. And abiding within that space with every exhale. And then coming up to the throat, if you'd like, you can bring your hands to rest on the collarbones or the upper chest. Inhaling, feeling any tension in the neck, in the shoulders, the throat, even the jaw, and on the exhale, softening. So right now on the inhale, it's as if we're breathing into the entire neck and throat region. And then breath by breath, bringing our awareness deeper into the throat center itself. Looking for that small region, perhaps towards the lower half of the throat, that has a unique energetic, emotional, or physical quality. And then placing your hands wherever is comfortable, let's let our attention now pervade the body. So we're connecting the three centers, feeling our way into the empty, spacious quality that's towards the back of the body. And even letting our mind come into that energetic boundary. So we're feeling our connection now with the ground just beneath the body, and feeling the openness within the body. There's really nothing to do but let your mind spread and relax and open up. And now start to become curious about that sensation of energy that lays there between you and the ground beneath you. You've already experienced it as a non-solid experience, yet there is experience there. So just look into it, become sensitive to it. A sense of movement. Maybe there's flow. And now we're going to work with that sensation a little bit, like the breath exchange or the mama bear, baby bear image. So now as you breathe in, feel that energy at the boundary coming into your body just a little bit. And then when you exhale, let go of that energy, or let it expand downward beyond the boundary, just a little bit down into the ground beneath you. Or you can imagine that as you're inhaling, that the earth is breathing into you a little bit. And when you're exhaling, you're breathing out through the back of your body, back into the earth. But just a little bit at this point. We're just inhaling and exhaling prana from behind the body. Okay, so now we've prepared the launch pad, so to speak. Just come into your body now and start to collect your sense of self. You know, there might be a strong sense of boundary that you allow to happen, a sense of you. In a few moments, I'm going to count to 3 and then say go. And when I say go, you could exhale completely, just completely letting go instantly. And then let your sense of awareness fall. Just fall beneath. Don't even think about it. Just let go so completely, physically and mentally, that there's a sense of complete falling. So that in the beginning, it's like you're a water balloon that someone has thrown off the Empire State Building. But that water balloon falls faster and faster. And after a while, you become like a shooting star, just streaming through space at incredible speeds, until you start to feel that shaky feeling I mentioned earlier. Until you start to notice an experience coming in from beyond you, a sense of awareness or a sense of energy that's beyond you. So now I'm going to start counting. Collect yourself in your body. 1. You can even increase the tense feeling, a little bit nervousness. 2. Making yourself more solid now, something worth letting go of. When I say 3, just exhale. So take a deep breath in now. 3 and go. Falling faster and faster. Shooting to the edge of the universe until you fall to pieces. If you get hung up on a thought and it seems like you've stopped moving, all you have to do is step off the cliff. Just give up the thought and start falling again. Your mind might start to flicker like a candle in the wind, and that means you're cracking. Just let go. Faster. And then you can let go of the descent. Just let your awareness open out to receive whatever lies beyond your sense of you. Looking around in the space, what is there? Do you feel seen by what's beyond your boundary? Do you feel held? Do you feel presence? It's empty, but is it only empty, or is there an energy? Or a knowing? So let yourself gradually come back up as if you were coming up from beneath your own body. At whatever speed you like, just come back up. And as you come into your physical being, see if you can be sensitive to a quality of energy following you up from the depths. So as you come into your body, this energy starts bubbling up through the boundary in the back of your body. That whatever you connected with beneath you is now rising up into you. And as you inhale, you allow it to absorb into your being. You can allow yourself to feel held and fulfilled at the same time. And you can even feel cared for. We're not going to take a break yet. Let's transition to the sitting posture, and we're going to let this upflow continue while we're sitting up for a little bit. So just at your own speed, move to sitting. And to continue the practice in this posture, it's quite simple actually. We just have to open up to the energy that's coming up from beneath us. And to do that, you can start by breathing into your perineum, connecting with a sense of openness there. So to do that, relax the muscles of the pelvic floor. Make sure you're breathing so your tummy's relaxed and moving with every breath. And the more you soften and open the perineum, the more the quality increases of the energy moving up into it. You can even imagine that as you're inhaling, that you're drawing in the energy from beneath you, and it's coming in and it's soaking into the perineum, into that space. So let's just work with the perineum for now that way. Inhaling as if we're drawing water from a well. And we'll do one more stage before we break, and that is, with every in-breath, let your attention move up from the perineum into the space above it. So there's a sense of open space, like a channel, above the perineum. And it comes into the lower belly, again, just in front of the sacrum and the spine. You can let your attention find its way there naturally. Just look for the open quality. And as your attention moves upward, breath by breath, the energy from beneath you that's now coming through the perineum, it follows your experience of openness. So first you find the openness, and then the energy follows into that space. So we'll do this for just a few minutes. See if you can connect the energy beneath you, moving through the perineum, and up into the channel, just up to the level of your lower belly, that center that we started with in the threefold breath. And there's nothing to do. Actually, the less effort, the better. Let the energy follow the emptiness. Don't worry about the size of the channel, how thick or thin should it be. You might even feel your entire lower belly filling with a sense of empty but vibrant energy. Okay, we're going to take a break. You can keep practicing if you'd like, but I'm going to turn one light on so people can move around safely. And when everyone's back, then we'll continue at that point. So I'm just going to give the instructions for the rest of the practice, and then you can work with it at your own pace. Basically, breath by breath, so it's very gradual. Let your attention move now further up from the lower belly. It's like it's looking for that open place every time it moves up a little bit. Where is it most open? And here's the tip. Usually when you go further back in the body, there's a greater sense of openness there. When you reach it, it's actually a place where you can't really get lost in thinking. Thoughts just don't seem to arise. So if you're thinking a lot or you're trying to get it right, to move out of that headspace, let your attention move further back in the body. You could even imagine moving behind the body. Just keep moving further back, and then there's a sudden sense of letting go or openness within your mind. So breath by breath, explore that openness. And when you breathe in, you can allow the energy that's coming up from beneath to move a little further up, to occupy that open space. So the energy is not a physical thing. It's not even a real thing. It's not a thing. We're talking about an experience. So let that experience come and follow up into whatever sense of openness you discover as you move upward, exploring eventually the space behind the heart, and then gradually coming up the upper chest and even up to the space behind the throat center. See if you can eventually come to the base of the skull. If you rush it, it will not work. So just one breath at a time, and don't move up until you've found that sense of openness. It's almost like we're going vertebrae by vertebrae, or 2 inches at a time. Make sure that the sense of openness is well established before you continue. And anytime you get lost in thought or trying to force anything, just let go and move backward, back into that sense of openness. And then if you reach the base of the skull, let your attention permeate your entire channel, or that entire sense of openness in the body, and even that space beneath the body in the earth. Just dwell there. Nothing to do but to be one with that energy, one with that openness. So I'll turn off the light again so we can really go into this for about 25 minutes. Sometimes it also helps to physically let your body move back, like you're leaning back just a little bit. So you can play with moving your body forward and back. And when you feel this upflow, this naturally arising sensation in your torso, then you found the proper physical posture. It might be tempting to try to hold on to the experience if you've made your way pretty far up in the body, because it starts to seem substantial, like it's solid or it's strong, and our mind, out of habit, tries to build onto it, and then we get tired and we start using effort. So let go of the temptation to hold on to the experience. If you do, you'll notice you start thinking more and you get tired. Instead, release the effort. Let go of holding on to the experience. Let yourself fall open from within. And you'll see that the more you let go, actually, the more the energy does the work. The more the energy finds its own way within you. But you have to step out of the way and completely let go of any temptation to control what's happening. And if you can do that, you'll notice a very good sense of stability and even enjoyability. This feels quite fulfilling, quite pleasant. And again, it's tempting to start to grasp at it because it can be so pleasant. And then we have to let go again, over and over, letting go. When you can let go for a long period of time, you can sit like this for really long periods and want for nothing. There's a strange fulfillment in this experience, but you have to step out of the way. So I know tonight was a little bit difficult because we were doing a few techniques and putting them together. And what I would suggest is, if any of those steps that we did tonight were a little more difficult than the others, go back in the recordings. Maybe you couldn't quite feel the energy in the body or whatever. Go back and do the 12-fold breath a few times till you have some familiarity with that sensation. Or if touching into the openness in the body was difficult, go back and do the recordings of the threefold breath. So find those areas where you might not have a good hold of that experience and train in that a little bit, and then come back and do this one and see how that changes your experience. But really, what I'm giving you is something that you can work on for years, in fact, your entire life if you wanted to. You might say, what's the point of this? Breathing up some energy from beneath, that's one way to look at it. But when we do these practices, we're entering another way of being, another world, in a sense. We're touching into something that's bigger than our idea of ourself. We're seeing how life exists and can communicate and be felt outside of our world of thought and boundaries. Using Buddhist terminology, we'd say we're touching into our own Buddha nature and seeing that we are actually awake. Maybe that awake quality is buried deep, deep, deep inside under all the layers of thoughts and ideas and habits. But what we're doing is touching into it, seeing that it's there, and allowing it to express itself through us, so that in a way our ordinary life can be joined with our awake qualities. And then life becomes fulfilling, and we become a spokesperson for something bigger than ourselves. And there's this feeling of warmth, of knowing, of holding there, which I think are qualities that the world needs badly. So this isn't just for ourselves that we're doing this practice. If we do it completely, we'll see that what we feel on the inside drives us in a way to yearn to connect with everybody else, especially those who are suffering, who are so disconnected from themselves. So you're actually silently being enlisted into the legions of awakened people who could help. So, in fact, we're going to use this practice soon, maybe next week or the week after, as a way to ignite our heart center and see what our heart does when we perceive people in our life who are suffering. But we'll say more about that later. So do this as much as you can this week, if you would. It'll come in handy. And I'll hang out again tonight if anyone has specific questions. Good night.